Welcome to Get Inspired, the podcast by Go Hard for God Daily. This is where we display the life of believers. We share and teach the gospel with practical living. We be real, we be honest, and we be open, and encourage you to be the authentic version of you that God created. Welcome to Get Inspired. Now let's get into the episode for today. What's going on, everybody? My name is Kirby Love, CEO, founder, Go Hard for God Daily. Welcome back to another episode of Get Inspired. We have already told you in episode 1, if you haven't checked it out, please go back and view episode 1. Very, very good. This season 4 that we're in to kind of close out 2023, what we're doing is sitting down and having conversations with married couples. So we're on episode number 2. Again, if you haven't checked out episode number 1, you're behind. If you haven't checked out the whole podcast, period, if this is your first one, then you're way behind. All right, so go back all the way to season 1 and work your way back. But we thank God that you're here today. So we got some good friends of mine who I know really, really well who are joining us today. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Usually I would do that, but I think they're really, really good at this. So I'm going to pass this over to my good friends today, Harry and Chelsea. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people today.
Ladies first.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Chelsea, affectionately known as Chelsea King. Born, bred, and raised in the good life city of Albany, Georgia. And we now reside in the Tiff County area. And I'll let you finish.
All right, I'm Harry King, affectionately known as Big Daddy. And listen, we're in Tifton, Georgia now. Married 17 years, owners of King's Production Services, LLC.
And Chelsea L. King, LLC.
Absolutely. And so we work a little bit. We have an installations company. We have a music company, music production company. We have a photography business. We have a tax firm.
I do tax, trade, and travel.
Right, tax, trade, and travel. We're also day traders, and we're worship pastors. Well, my wife was the worship pastor. I'm the lead minstrel at Freedom Church of Albany, Georgia. Our pastor, DeCarlo Marcus. Shout out to
D-Town. Shout out.
So, yeah, we're the kings.
We are the kings.
Man, it's so good to have y'all here today for the episode. What we do, and our audience knows this already, one of the things that we do, we start off with Coming to Christ story. And I believe the Coming to Christ story kind of helps us to just navigate through the 17 years that you guys have been married. Yeah. I kind of put that out there before you did.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to start off with the Coming to Christ story. The Coming to Christ story is where we just allow our guests to talk about how they came to Christ. Like, what was that like? When was the first encounter? And then we just kind of navigate that story from there. So whoever want to go first, just tell the people, tell the world, what was your Coming to Christ story like?
So for me, I never forget, my home church is the Greater Second Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church in Albany, Georgia. I never forget, Pastor Lorenzo L. Hurd was preaching, and I was 9 years old. We were singing in the like a big mass choir that Sunday, and he was giving a point. I cannot remember exactly what the point was, but it was like my mind or my spirit saw where he was going before he even got it or got to that point, and just something just rose up, and I jumped up and I shouted, yes, I know, at 9 years old. And of course, over half the church is looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it was that same Sunday that I initially walked down. The old school Baptist churches, they still had the little push, look like little fence doors open on the side of the choir. So I walked through and gave my life to Christ. But it wasn't until, I would say, 10 years later, this big sex man right here and I had just become good friends. And we were out late, and I was headed home. It was very late, and I ended up falling asleep behind the wheel. I was 19. And right there on US 19 in Albany, ran into an embankment. And even the paramedics and the police officer, by the time they arrived, well, first of all, let me backtrack. I hit a lamp post or a pole, and in me doing so, I woke. and I dozed back off, and I woke again, and my car, I couldn't stop it. I couldn't hit the brakes, anything. And my car was literally headed towards the Flint River. And it was so dark, I couldn't see anything, no additional lights nearby. And all I hollered out was Jesus.
Yeah.
My phone was off. All I could do was call 911. And it was just in that moment, I rededicated my life to him in my car. I had already accepted him at 9, but it wasn't until 10 years later that I saw him for myself.
Right.
Even to the point where there were 2 ladies. I have no idea how they saw me all the way down there. And I truly felt like those were angels that got a lot, because I was looking for them. Nobody saw them around. By the time the police got there, everybody was looking like, how did somebody find you? And all I can remember was, I even shared it with him all those years ago. There were 2 black ladies. And if they're watching this by happenstance, if you remember me, please let me know who you are. But they saw me. They found me. And they helped me get out of my car. No scratch, just soreness. I mean, nothing. And like I said, even the paramedics, one knew me because she just so happened to be working with my uncle at that time. And she said, I know you, you're such and such's niece. And I said, yeah, sorely, but yeah, that's me,
Yeah.
And she was like, baby, I'm going to be honest with you. You should not be alive today. You should not be standing here. Your car should be flipped over in the embankment in that river.
Wow.
And it's been me and Christ down like 4 flat tires ever since.
Since 19, right?
Since 19.
That's so
Yeah.
good. That's so good. So before I dive more into that, I'm gonna give my brother a chance to share his coming to Christ story.
Wow. So mine's kind of quick.
He said, "Wow, like that was the first time hearing that from her."
Well, I'm gonna just descriptively.
Descriptively,
Yeah,
okay. Oh man,
because she was with me that night and she was leaving, heading home.
okay,
So I was like, wow, just to hear that.
that's good.
Man, man. That's good stuff, baby. But yeah, so my story. I grew up Church of God in Christ. Shout out to my grandfather, who was my pastor. So I always thought I was saved, just based off the information that growing up, and we were faithful to the church, and so. I got a little older, got in my teens, and kind of started smelling myself and start entertaining some stuff. And so it was about 19, 20. I met a young lady, and we were friends. We were dating, and while being busy, I kind of got into some stuff, and I basically kind of hurt the families with some of the things I entertained, and so wanting to be a better man. I first started shifting my ways because I wanted to prove to them that I was a better man. So it wasn't about my relationship with Christ at that moment, but in trying to prove to them, hey, I'm a better man. I don't do the things I used to do. I'm changed. I'm different. Yeah. I bumped into God. Bumped into God, man, and I actually got serious about the Lord. So I say that was around 21, 22, and it was right before my baby came. In the world, and she's 22 now. So right before my baby came, I met the Lord for real, and it's been me and him,
holding it down,
rocking. We've been rocking,
That's so good.
So yeah, that's my quick story, man.
Man, that's so good. I say this all the time. One of the things that I realized in everybody's coming to Christ story, at least 92.777% of the coming to Christ stories that we've heard on the podcast have had early encounters. Now, the early encounters, I believe they're significant, and this backs up scripture as well, because there were 8-year-old priests, King 7 and stuff like that. But I just think it's phenomenal that God will just introduce himself. I don't even want to use the word introduce himself, but that we can just have an encounter at such a young age. And sometimes it's younger than 9 or 8 or 7.
Right.
But the good thing is, another thing I hear is that is a foundation part of the faith. Years later, now obviously we all have to rededicate our life at some point.
Right.
Absolutely.
But what we do know is the moment that we had. At 9, at 8, at 7, or sometimes at 15 or 19. It's different for different people. But I think that's a phenomenal thing, man, that people are actually, and it's still happening today. I know we may not see it as much, you know, it just depends on the circles and environments you're in. But I do believe that early encounters are still happening.
Absolutely.
8 years old, 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and things like that. So great testimonies from both of you. And about the ditch.
Let's go to the ditch.
Let's go.
About the ditch. All right, so let's just say coming out of that, because that was like a really come to Jesus moment for you.
Yeah.
Like, talk me through that moment to the next 2-3 years after that.
I kept taking on the shame and the guilt because, of course, you know, your family, they're embarrassed because they feel as though you should know better. You know, what are you doing out that late? You shouldn't be at that boy's house and da-da-da-da-da. And, of course, as we get older, we're like, well, I wasn't doing anything. We were just watching a movie, hanging out. Mm-hmm. Well, and then you even try to, in turn, start blaming other people. Had you let me sleep? You know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, none of that matters.
Right.
What matters is the fact that I had the experience. And even now at 37, soon to be 38, I look back at that and I'm like, okay, what if I had never had that experience? Would I have hollered out his name? So over the next 2 to 3 years, I just kept, honestly, all these years, I still use that as a reflective piece for me with everything that I do when it comes to my prayer time, when it comes to my worship. Sometimes I even go back and I just have as one of the things in my memory bank to say, God, I thank you because I should have been dead. So I really, you know, the old church say, you know, and we'll understand it better by and by.
We're gonna shut it down. We're gonna shut it down.
and so now I'm at the age where I have children that are very close to that age and at that age and past that age. And so to understand, I'm in my by and by season now. So I understand now what it means to when they say I should have been dead and gone, but God kept me. You know, I should have, but God, I should have did. It's like shoulda, coulda, woulda, but God. So I have my own. I should really have been floating in the Flint River, right there in the Good Life City of Albany, Georgia. And who knows if they would have found me had my car tipped over with me in it, had God not sent who He sent to find me. You know, because even the paramedics, they could not find me. Nobody could find me, you know. Wow. So it's reflective for me even to this day. Yeah,
and that's definitely one of those but God moments.
Absolutely.
You know, when you think about certain things, I know sometimes stuff becomes cliche and we kind of just say it as like, you know, the Christian thing.
Yeah.
That's really one of those but God moments. And then you can always have that testimony and something to look back on. And one of the things that I talked about in another episode is just pausing and reflecting. Having those moments continuously where you just sit down and you just reflect on the goodness of God and the times where you could have been dead and the times where things could have went another way, but God always showed up. And I think those are some of the most important moments in our life because it helps us to just solely, number one, focus on God, what He's doing, what He has done, and then whatever season that we're in, we know that we can trust Him to still bring us through or out, or to do even greater or more than what He did then during those times when things were not so good, or the time when I could have been, well, not me, but you could have been floating in the river. You know, but I think all of that is good, and this is why it's important for us to just have that pause and reflect moment. And then I think it helps us because sometimes the confidence or the trust, not for everybody, but sometimes for different people, the trust start to go away. Like, man, I've been trusting God for it, and I just ain't seen nothing. But the pause and reflect moment helps you to think back on that time or those times and say, you know what? You build that confidence back up and say, okay, God, I still trust you. I still trust you.
I do.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
That's so good. So you mentioned just trying to prove something to others, and then you bumping into God. Like, let's navigate through that moment, because what it seems like is, just for me hearing it, it seems like there was an identity moment for you.
Absolutely.
So just talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah. So what happened was, when I'm a vibe person. I've always been a vibe person. It makes me very sociable, friendly, easy to get along with. And so I saw the what was the word? I saw the disappointment on, my mom's face, family's face, community, some of the people in the church when they kind of got wind of some of the things I had started entertaining.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point to where I was like, man, I'm out here in the deep and a bunch of foolery,
That was his ditch.
Yeah. So that was my ditch, I guess. And so in that, I was like, man, I wasn't raised like this. I know better. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so now, I started spending some time trying to, like I say, I was trying to really, change my life. I started reading the Bible. I started visiting a lot of ministries. And I remember going, I became involved with Albany State. They had a college ministry. I was there a lot. I was at Second Mount Olive. I was at Second Mount Olive a lot. I was at Victor Powell's church. Shout out to Raymond Word. Great ministry there too. I was at his church a lot because those teachings were they were more relational teachings.
Gotcha.
And a more relational environment.
Yeah.
I've always been a musician, but I was never really interested in just performing in church. Even when I was young, I was never interested. So the shouts and the bumps and stuff like that was cool, but it was more relational, worshipful things, life-changing things I've always found myself to be interested in. So when I bumped into God, it was more or less like a thing of just really when I start shifting my schedule, the things I found myself, the places I found myself going, the things I found myself doing, the people I found myself shifting from, that made my perspective change and that made my mindset change when it came down to the things of Christ. Because I was still having a relationship with friends that were struggling with simple stuff like, cursing, drinking, sex, going out, lying, stealing, and to watch my response to everyday situations, I had cousins calling me, man, there's something different about you. You seem more at peace, different,
Yeah.
And so I really, man, when I studied the word during that season, I literally took everything I got from the word, I took it and applied it, and that's how I kind of gained a new posture in life.
Yeah, that's good. The response of people, it sometimes can make or break us, right? But it can also change their lives too.
Yeah.
All right, and I think that's a good point that you made about your cousin saying like something different about you. At some point, people should be able to say that about you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
I want to be careful how I say this.
Just say it.
Because, as a follower of Christ, we try to disciple, we try to help people, and I understand that we have to have grace
Right.
with other people.
Right.
But sometimes, man, I'd be like, 5 years, bro.
At some point.
Come on now. Let's
get
it together. Let's get it together. But I think the good thing, the beauty about it is you took the word and you actually applied it to your life, and that began to shift a lot of things in your life. And that is a important part in our faith walk. Is actually being doers of the word, which scripture talks about that. Don't just be hearers. I'll even, no, I ain't gonna add, but I say don't just be observers of everybody else life and not change either if you know they're going that way. Or I think some people need to be able to separate themselves from the people who are trying to do something else. If you want to do that, then hey, you move on about your business.
Absolutely.
Move on about your business. It ain't always got to be me or us that has to do the cutting, right? But that's so good. So both of you musicians, you had early, background in church and things like that. So is that where the rubber met the road? That's where the rubber met the road. That's what admitted that. That's what. Okay, let's dive into that, because on the night y'all was together. Beforehand, y'all was all together. So let us talk about that beginning phase. Like, what was the thing to say, hey, I see you over there.
Gotcha.
You know, sing. I see you over there singing.
You want to tell the story or shall I?
So I better tell the story because that story may be a little puffed up.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, it was. So we grew up in Albany, and we were in some of the same circles. As a matter of fact, her uncle is one of my mentors.
Okay.
Musically, even now to the day, I call him Coach.
Yeah.
Shout out to Uncle Devin Hawkins. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, I called him Coach because growing up, I used to come to Second Mile Olive and play basketball, and he used to be just calling all the shots. All of us some chubby guys on the court.
Yeah.
But he was just calling plays like he was Jordan, you know. And so he earned the name Coach way back then.
Yeah.
So, but we were playing together and hanging out together, and I already met Chelsea. I already knew her from just growing up in the area.
Okay.
But she was, a few years younger than me, so she was just a cute little baby. You know?
I'm still a cute little baby.
She's still my cute little baby. She's still my cute little baby. But so just growing, musically we linked up. We started doing some work together with one of my other mentors, who I called Pop, the late
Vernon Stravinsky Williams.
Vernon Williams. Rest in peace, sir.
Yeah.
And so we started doing some work together, and I just really grew very fond of her. I grew fond of her ability, and she was very, very talented. She was pretty too, but she was very talented, and she was she was attentive, and I was paying attention to how she moved, and how she moved got my attention. And so one particular day, we was at a midday service. Was it a midday service? Yeah, it was a midday service.
Probably.
And I had a smaller conversation before service with her, and it was just talking about just something simple.
Yeah.
But she was very attentive in that conversation, and I then ran into her again that night at Walmart. You remember? I ran to her at
Best friend
Walmart,
Rashida.
and she was hanging out, and then we had a conversation that night. And we talked on the phone, man, about 4, maybe 5 hours.
After 9.
Yeah.
After 9.
You talking
We
that
actually fell asleep on
A
the
certain
phone.
audience may get the after 9, the free after 9. Some of them probably won't.
Right. Hey, we had that on. You sleepy? I mean, I'm sleepy, but I ain't sleepy. We had that going on. And I'm talking about, man. It was, and that's how she got my attention. She was just herself. She was beautiful. She wasn't trying to be more than she was. She was just amazing. She was just simply amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what got my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
I prayed a prayer after that too, but we'll keep going. I'll talk about
I'm
that
just
prayer.
going to add that one of the things that we had actually both started working with Vernon, the late Vernon that we just mentioned, was actually my minister of music. He had just become our new minister of music at my home church. During that time, I know him, since I was 12 and a half. So by the time I was 18, he had a group known as All Worship Music, or All Music Group.
Yeah.
And so I would work with him at the studio, helping write music, just pretty much getting a lot of the impartation from him. And so being around Vernon, he was working with Vernon also. We were constantly around each other. And so, we became work buddies first, and then friends, of course, out of that, because we both had a lot of the same desires. He was, strongly getting back in his word, and I was at that place where I was seeking something more too.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that he came to me, I never forget, just fast forward, one of the things that he said to me was he wanted us to go on a fast. Now, never had I ever had a man, period, say anything to me about it, outside of your pastor, your daddy.
Yeah.
But just a friend just come up and say, hey, I think we should fast to see if we're supposed to be together. I know you like me. I know I like you, but let's fast. Let's go on a 30-day fast to see if this is where God wants us to be. We did. We both got the same answer.
Wow.
We did the same thing again. Right before we got engaged, he asked me, how long do you want to be together before, you get engaged? And I said 6 months. And he was like, 6 months? That's all right. I said, yeah, well, you know what you want. You ain't got to, And here it is, 6 months and a week later, we got engaged that Christmas morning, 2005. And this man is calling another fast. I'm like, what is with you in these fasts? Well, we need to make sure that we're
working.
They were.
They were working. I was talking.
But it was just the fact that he wanted us to be, like-minded and like he said, in order before we stepped into the next anything that we were going to step into. And so it was just the leadership and the fact that he truly desired to honor God in everything that we did that caused me to truly fall deeply in love with him.
That's good. Yeah. I got some stuff. I was just annotating some stuff as you was talking.
Yeah.
One of the things is, if you know what you want, you know what you want.
You know Absolutely. What you want.
So real quick.
Sound like a good Facebook post right there.
If you know what you want, listen.
You know what you want.
So real quick before I dive into the next thing that I wrote down as you were talking, what is something that you could tell the people on the other side who may be dating, seeking, looking to get married? Because what we see a lot is the dating. Do you feel like dating 7, 8, 9 years and talking is a thing? So if there was something that you could share to people who are dating right now, what would that look like? Because it seems like you knew what you wanted, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to dating now, you really have to be straight up about what your purpose is with this friendship.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a friend, companion, then go ahead and set that standard and stay within that parameter. Don't because I have a couple of friends who want friends, but then they have an issue with cuffing or wanting to make the friendship a little bit more serious than it needs to be. And so that's a relationship. Like, no, I ain't in no relationship. I ain't ready for that. Well, no, you just made that a relationship the way you're functioning. You know? And so, so like you really have to self-evaluate yourself and really, know what you want first. Like, if you ain't ready for no serious relationship, then don't go booing up. You know? Yeah, keep it platonic, keep it cool. And, don't cross lines until you're ready to step over into other areas. Yeah.
And so what's the conversation like when you're, I guess, just kind of being honest about where you want a relationship to be? What are some things that you say if you first start meeting each other and you know what you want? What is the first thing that you say? Do you say, hey, I want this to be more than what it is? Like, how soon do you start having those conversations?
So I can say with my wife, when we start having those conversations, just hanging out, we were talking about everything we encountered,
our past, everything.
And I was really interested in her because you know how it is. You hear stuff, and so one thing that I was checking out was like,
I think he was checking to see if I could handle his truth.
That's so
without
good.
judgment.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I did the same with him.
Right.
Because neither one of us are, as they say, spring chickens. But the fact that we could handle each other's truth without judgment to say, hey, you know what? That's cool. Been there, done that.
Gotcha.
How do you, is that someone that can handle your truth? And then another thing that Pastor Marcus has even been teaching on is concerning encounters and interactions lately. Sometimes we can be too open too soon, and then that can run a person away. So you just, like he said, he's a vibe person. We got to try the spirit by this. We got to try each other's spirit by our spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was good. And so I think once having that conversation with her about who she was, what she's encountered, then I said, I did some little checking on me, and I was like, she's cool, and I think she's mature enough, to handle something more than where we at, you know.
That's good.
And so that's then I went home and I prayed. I said, Lord, and you remember the prayer? I said, Lord, let me see her like you see her. Yeah. And I told, because
He still prays that prayer, by the way.
That's
I said,
powerful.
Lord, help me see her like you see her, because I know we can mishandle a person based off what we've heard about them. You know, and I'm talking about we've not, you know, I didn't encounter some of the stuff that she went through. So I don't have no type of, you know, hurt or whatever from it.
Right.
But because I know about it, sometimes a person can still mishandle you based off what they heard.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I never mishandled whatever she trusts with me.
Man.
Yeah. I try to make sure I never mishandle.
That's
So I
so
said,
good.
Lord, help me see her like you see her. And then I think that's what drove the fast. Yeah, those 2 times.
That's so good. That's so good. I don't even know what to say. I will say though, what I do hear through this love story, is value.
Yeah.
There's value, and I think it's important for people who are dating to first and foremost value the other person, and not just a value from an outward appearance or what you think, but like you did, you prayed, say, God, help me to see her the way that you see her. Help me to, you know, and that prayer can continue to go. You can help me to love her the way you love her, you know, and what you do from that, what you do is put yourself in a position to observe the other person from a whole nother lens.
Right.
And that's one of the most powerful and effective things that you can do in a relationship that can really take you to that next phase.
Absolutely.
And if I may real quick add this for the women out there, one of the things I used to tell him all the time jokingly was, he was everything that I didn't want, but everything that I needed. Because I didn't want to, you know, like he said, he big daddy, so I didn't want a chubby guy. I didn't want a, you know, guy with dreads, and I didn't want a guy with gold and tattoos. I didn't want any of that. I want him tall, dark, and handsome, clean cut, suits. But one of the things I kept running into was those same men that were tall, dark, and handsome were literally dark. And he was a light for me. So he was everything that God knew I needed. And, you know, it was through him. Even though my identity is not in him, my identity is in Christ.
Right.
But he just helped me to see that and to find that part of me. Yeah. So that was it. So ladies, don't run away from what you need just because you're trying to chase after what you want.
Bang,
Bang, bang. Pow.
bang, bang. Listen, we're going to take a pause right here, and we're going to come back to finish talking about this amazing, incredible story that we have here with the Kings. We'll be right back. Hey, what's going on, family? Just want to let you guys know that we have a few ways that you guys can give and sow into Go Hard for God Daily. One of those ways is going to our website, www.ghfgd.com. You can hit that give tab, and it allows you to give right there to sow into Go Hard for God Daily. Another way that you can give or sow into us is by purchasing some merch. So if you see something that you like while you're on the website, make sure you go ahead and grab it. That's another way that you can sow into us to help us to continue the mission and what we're doing right here at Go Hard for God Daily. Thank you guys so much for giving and sowing, for all that you've done thus far. We appreciate you. We love you guys. Let's get back to this episode. All right, so we're back. One of the things that I wanted to ask you guys was, because you both have music background and ministry as well, being in the church, and now you're actually being able to serve together. What's it like being able to serve together in ministry as husband and wife?
Let you start that one.
Let me start it. Okay. Well, I mean, it has this flow. We have to make sure that we keep things in perspective. We are, you know, I feel like you can be productive in ministry, working together, running the business together and everything, if you create the boundaries, the necessary boundaries. Compartmentalize. Yeah, we've learned, to not let areas bleed over.
Right.
So, prime example, when we're doing business stuff, we understand who kind of takes the lead. When we're doing, because we have several businesses, so some of the businesses she takes lead, and I stay in my lane, And the same way with ministry. At the ministry, she's my boss, you know, and we make it work, you know.
Can we run that back? He actually said that.
Yeah, I heard it.
But when we get to the house,
Oh my God.
I'm the boss, you know. I'm the boss, you know. But we keep things in perspective. We have a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
We hang out together, so we make sure that it's a healthy relationship established. You know, so long as there's a healthy relationship, you don't find, you know, moments of taking shots. You know, I need y'all to be quiet. Well, you didn't say that last night. You know, I mean, you know, because when you're offended, you can find little shots to take at somebody.
That's good.
So we make sure that we kind of keep everything compartmentalized, and we try to make sure that we have a lot of conversation.
That's good.
You know, I call it pillow talk.
Yeah.
We do a lot of pillow talking.
Pillow talk is good.
Yeah.
We need to get a pillow talk tea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I concur with everything that he said. Now, it did not happen overnight.
Yeah.
My goodness. It did not happen overnight. It took a lot of trial and error, a lot of maturing.
Yeah.
To even get to this point today, and we're still growing, we're still learning. So, when it comes to us working, and for me, I'll say, you know, because now I work for us at home.
Yeah.
Especially now that our son is, you know, homeschooled, and we've got a lot of other things on the table that we're working on, some other projects coming up. So it just makes life easier. I know for him, because he'll say, "Hey, babe, are you at the house?" Yes, I'm at the house. Oh, thank God. Can you go grab it? Can you go to, you know, and it works, you know, but that's for us.
Yeah.
That may not be everybody or every couple's makeup or their story. So for us, it works because we have that flexibility. And I think even us having the flexibility because of the type of people that we are, he has his days where he may want to just be up under me, and I want to just be up under him.
Yeah.
So working together, we have that time, because a lot of, I know for me personally, early on, maybe the first 6 to 10 years of our marriage, he was always gone. Working, gigging, playing, you know. And so I know for this time now, us being together or working together, even in ministry, has allowed us to be together, to grow together, to mature together, to, you know, maintain together, earn our finances together. And it keeps us more accountable too. Not necessarily that we're always in each other's faces.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't get a little sick and tired of it. All right, now I done seen you for the past 12 days. Be gone, you know. But it does, it keeps us aware.
Yeah.
It just keeps us aware. So that's how I feel about it.
That's good. You mentioned something that I actually just wrote down. So
Wow.
when you see me texting right here, I'm like, I got some stuff. So one of the things you mentioned was about growing together. Like for people who are listening and maybe in the same position that you in, maybe serving together in ministry as husband and wife, or just serving together at home, because you have these are separate lives. And you mentioned something about being able to compartmentalize everything, but also having a conversation about everything. Like, when it comes to growing together, what is some helpful things that you can help those, you know, whether they're married couples or whether they're singles dating? What are some things that you can partake or put into them and input in? Install. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you got.
I'm in there. I'm somewhere. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's something that you can download in these individuals, these couples, about growing together? What does that look like as far as growing together?
Can I jump on that?
Okay, man.
I want to say, know your role. Know the role that you play, and know the role that your partner or your spouse plays. Married, or even for those that are looking to be married, still know your role, because I'll be honest, I didn't know my role, because I felt like I said, he was gone a lot, working, grateful, but because he wasn't home, I felt as though I had to pick up a lot of the, you know, I got 2 kids, they were younger, so I got to be mommy. I'm not a man, I'm not their father, but sometimes we can feel like, because I did grow up in a single parent home, so we have this saying where you got to be mama and daddy.
Right.
Nah, he's still daddy, you know. But why? And I did not have a proper appreciation for what he was doing, because all I saw was, you always gone, you always gigging, you always this and you always that. And and I say we grew together and we're still growing together because the more we understand and learn, not just our roles now, but each other's roles and the roles that we play in the house, the roles that we play everywhere that we serve in ministry, on our jobs, in our careers, in our businesses, everything that we even in the community, then it helps us to feel those other places necessary.
Right.
So,
that's good.
what you think, Mr. King?
And to add to knowing your roles, you got to have a conversation about roles so that you kind of understand, like, where do I fit? Where do we fit? You know, I was just telling a friend of mine that, listen, we are a puzzle by ourselves, a fully developed puzzle. And to bring somebody else into that equation, you now have to start carving what's already there to make two pieces become one puzzle again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to start having so conversations is that carving. You know, finding out what do you need from me in this department? What do you need from me? What do you need? You know, what do you like and what do you don't like? How loud can I say this? How soft do I need to say this? You know, and so you start having those conversations. You are now carving the two puzzle pieces that are whole to make now them become a need to become one big puzzle all over again.
Yeah.
You know, so conversations is everything.
That's good, man.
Yeah, conversations is everything, man.
That's good. I love that, man.
Right.
You highlight.
He got some good analogies now.
Hey,
He the king of analogies.
Listen, the track now.
y'all better go back and listen to all the things that is being dropped. These are gems in this episode from the Kings. So let's move right along because I got some more stuff. So as we're talking about roles, how important is it to understand that it's not a competition? And let me break it down just a little bit more. I'm okay with my wife being able to do something better than me.
Wow. Yeah.
You better with the finances? Take it.
Right. Yeah.
Just because I bring in more money don't mean I'm the best money manager. So I just want to give that example. Let's talk about the importance of understanding roles and how it's not a competition. Like how can you handle one person being better at something and you not feeling a certain type of way?
You want to start or shall I?
I can make it quick.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
If I make it quick, I would say it's kind of like lifting a heavy box. You know for a fact that when you're approaching that heavy box, that you have to bend your legs and you have to posture yourself to grab it, right?
Yeah.
But the second you look at that box and there's somebody there beside you, then you know if we approach this box together, we're going to lift it with no problem. You look at everything in your relationship like grabbing that box together, and you'll find yourself being okay with having help. Because when you're okay with having help, then you'll kind of be okay with, okay, well, how can you help me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you still have to be
good.
You have to be honest with yourself, because just because I can lift that box by myself, why lift it by myself when I got somebody who can lift it with me?
You might hurt yourself
that's
trying to lift
good.
that box.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I know
good.
one of the things, since you brought up finances, because I know that's a huge, that's one of the leading causes of divorce in today's, just in the USA alone, finances, infidelity, those sort of things. But I know for us, he same thing. He's the primary breadwinner. He always has been. But I do have a better sense of finances. Plus my background when it comes to my education is business and finances. And so one of the things that he'll do is, especially the last, year or two maybe, I'll just say since the pandemic, it doesn't matter what he make. I don't care if it's $250 or a $30,000 contract for an installation contract. He'll come in and say, all right, babe, this is our cut from it. This is our ... what do we need to do with it? He brought it in, but all right, what do we need? Where does this need to go?
Right.
What do we? Now I know I got my credit card. I need to pay. I know we got this. I know I got my truck payment. I know we got that.
Right.
And I've always done the same thing. If if we get a tax refund, if we come into a large lump sum of money from a business credit or anything like that, so I always ask him, hey, what do we need to do with this? So regardless of who brought it in, you know, understanding our roles, I know his role is he's a primary breadwinner.
Yeah.
My role is his help. My role is, you know, the same way that God was to help with the children of Israel. Listen, I'm his help.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing on their own. They're a huge nation on their own. He's a wonderful phenomenon on his own. But as his help, this is, you know, hey, this is what we need to do with this. This is what I think we should do. And then I still honor him as the head of our household to say, well, okay, I've taken everything into consideration. Boom, boom, boom. This is what we gonna do. You know, so
That's good.
it ain't always easy, but it becomes easier over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You going to add something to that?
Well, no, she did that. She did that. I agree.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. I know a lot of I don't know them personally, but I'm just saying, and generally, I know that there are couples out there who are struggling with roles,
Yeah.
understanding just roles, and you summed it up really good. Both of you summed it up really good. It really just comes down to you're responsible for this, I'm responsible for this, and how can we make it happen together?
Right. Absolutely.
That's it.
And I'll say real quick, because we are believers, and you know, whether you're a believer or not, which I pray you do come to Christ after watching this and all the other episodes of Kirby Love Productions and Go Hard for God Daily. You know, get back to the word. What does the word say your role is? It's just that simple. Sometimes we as women, we try to be more than just a helper, you know, because we don't think that us being one of the things I learned working at the hospital back in where we reside some years ago. I never forget, we had what was called a town hall meeting, and in that town hall meeting, one of the things that our CEO gave a presentation or showed us a video, and in the video there was a young lady speaking who the topic was just a. So nobody's just in anything. You're not a just. I'm not just a wife. I'm not just this. I'm not just a mom. I'm not just that. I'm not just a, you know, no, I'm more than, if I'm your helper, then I'm okay with being your helper, because guess what? When nobody else designed to help you like me. So I'm okay with being his helper. You know, no one else was designed to lead me. He's okay with leading our house. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I know for me, I had to get back to understanding who I am according to the word of God.
Yeah.
You know, Titus is a good place to start. 1 Peter is a good place to start, you know. So yeah, just understand, you want to know your role and know it well, and steward it well, get back to the word of God.
That's good.
It's just that simple.
That's good. I do hear it's a I'm for you, not against you
Right.
That's it.
mindset.
Absolutely.
Like I'm for you. I'm not against you.
Yeah.
And again, I know there are people out here struggling with that because they
Yeah.
feel like if I give you advice about this, then my advice is because this is what I'm good at. All right.
Right.
But me understanding that my spouse is better at this is through the conversation we've had. And me just knowing her background, knowing her history. Okay, she majored in this. She went to school for this. These are
Yeah.
things that she's really, really good at.
Yep.
Why not be able to hand that over? And that's for husband and wife. Why not just hand it over? Like,
Yeah.
so I think part of that from the men's standpoint is just from dominance. And sometimes dominance comes from, you know, just kind of upbringing. Sometimes it comes from seeing certain things, or sometimes it comes from not having.
Yeah.
And you feel like I got to be able to I want to rule everything, own everything, show everything, make all the decisions. When really, it don't always have to be that way.
That's right.
That's true.
So
Good.
we're going to take one more break right here. And when we come back, listen, we're going to get ready to close out this episode with the Kings. We'll be right back. Hey family, just want to let you know real quickly, a couple of ways that you can follow us is on TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram, or you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. If this is your first time, hey, let us know it's your first time. Like a video, comment on a video, share a video, whatever that looks like for you. But follow us on all platforms at Go Hard for God Daily. That's at Go Hard for God Daily on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. All right, let's get back to this episode. All right, so we're back. Listen, before we close out, there's a few questions or some things that I just wanted you to be able to help the audience with. But one of the questions that I had is, since you guys been married for 17 years, congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
On 18, I'm already giving it to you in advance.
Oh, yeah. Right around the corner.
It's on the way.
So you guys have been married for 17 years. What is the importance of still being able to date each other, being married 17 years?
Now, according to my calendar, my husband told me to be ready tomorrow night. Is it tomorrow? Friday? Because he's taking me out tomorrow somewhere. I have no idea where. And it's been on the calendar for over about 2 months. So he's still spontaneous. I give him that. We actually we have this challenge. We've always had this challenge since we've been married. We always have this saying, a part that's also with the challenge, who's sweeter than who? I'm sweeter than you. And so we just randomly do things, gifts, randomly, hey, come join me for breakfast. And whereas one of us is typically picking up the tab, the other will, surprisingly, something like that. He's real good at surprising me if we're at a restaurant and it's nowhere near my birthday. I'm a November baby, by the way. And it'll be in the middle of March and they're coming, happy birthday. And then I'm like, what? So, that's I would say that's the spontaneity that we have when it comes to our date life. That's always, those are some of the things and now because I've gotten so used to it, he got to find better ways because I done picked up on it now.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think just keep it fun. Like I've seen couples kind of get together and the relationship becomes so serious that you lose the fun that it's supposed to be. Man, we're doing life together.
Yeah,
and it don't need to be. I don't need to have more fun at work than I do at home. I don't need to have more fun with my boys than I do at home. So I look forward to coming at home because I enjoy my wife. I enjoy my kids. So it's always and we have a healthy environment. We joke, we play, and then we play some more. So even though I'm older, I'm the playful one. So
what kind of play you talking about?
I'm always playing. We play. But so I'm always trying to make sure, even with serious situations, we trust the Lord.
Yeah.
Like if He's telling us that we're going to be okay, we have to trust that. And if we're going to be okay, that means that every day, man, we just need to be cool with it. You know, hey, find something else to worry about because we don't have to worry about provision. We don't have to worry about life. Because our hand is in His hand. Yeah. So I take on that with everything. I just try not to let stuff stress me. So we try to have a good time all the time.
All the time.
That's good. That's good. I think it's good to have that place, and like you talked about something, just having a good environment at home. Like who sets the tone in the home for the environment? Like who's the joker?
Well, nowadays it's probably me.
She's been turning up lately. Yeah, she's been turning up. I think she's trying to find my level, and so she's been trying to make sure she passed my level. Yeah, because I'm always on. I used to get on her nerves. Like,
He still does.
everything. She coming out the bathroom, I'm scared. She
I'm talking about I be ready to fight. I be punching, throwing the towel, man.
Pillow fighting all the time.
Yeah,
nagging. And then once she gets mad with me. I then get into this mode of, I
love you, baby.
Yeah, how
But
how fast can I make her smile when I know she's mad at me? So it's just become a game of peace, Yeah.
That's good.
Find it, man.
That's good. That's good. And it's so necessary, man. It's so necessary to keep a healthy environment. Yeah. I think when you keep a healthy environment, you keep a healthy home, period. Absolutely. From the children to the marriage itself and so forth, because the children eventually are going to mimic what they see come from the home. Right. Absolutely. And that ain't always the case, but a lot of times that is the case. Yeah. So I think creating that healthy environment is good for the marriage and it's good for the children as well.
Absolutely.
So before we close out, is there anything else that you would like to share to couples who are married newly married, just getting married 17 years, 18 or whatever that looks like, is there anything that you would like to share to them where they are right now?
So we'll run a quick list. We're a tag team. When we first got married, one of the quotes that we lived by was that divorce is not an option.
Divorce is not an option.
Divorce is not an option. And then having been counseled with my grandparents, we was taught to not be too common with each other.
That's good.
Never get too comfortable.
Never get too comfortable. Never get too common. All right. We also was given the advice to keep your family out your business. That became a valuable nugget because once you encounter some things in your relationship, your family is going to side with you. You know, most of the time, you know, unless you're just horrible. Then they're going to side with whoever, you know, but your family's going to side with you. And then when you're back straight, you and your couple, you and your relationship is back good, they still may be holding on to whatever they got exposed to. So it's still a great nugget to keep the family out your business. I would even recommend going to counsel, you know, find some
a neutral source.
Get some counseling, you know, quarterly or so. Just to kind of keep y'all at a good space, make sure that your conversations are healthy, make sure there ain't nothing on your heart, you know. If you find a place where you touch on a topic that is a little bit too sensitive, then get some help. Get some help in.
That's good. That's good.
So so that's a 5-point checklist that if you keep that in front of you, then you should be doing. You should be on the track to staying together for a while.
Can I add one more?
Well, 6 points. They go.
Tag team.
One of the things that over the years I've had people to ask, you know, well, how have you and Harry made it this long? How have y'all made it this long? Well, we always say, you know, most people, the common thing is, you know, you got to have great communication. You got to have love and you got to have trust and you got to have this and that. I say it's just a decision. We can love each other and not be together. We know plenty of people who love each other and they're divorced. We know plenty of people who love each other and they never got married, but they still love each other though, you know. And there are plenty of people who have great communication skills, but their marriage still sucks. You know, like just being real about it. It's our decision to stay and make it work that caused us to stay this long, you know. That and just not necessarily keeping God first, keeping him, period. Just keep God, period.
Period.
Period. Yes, period. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because sometimes you may not go to God first. Right. You may have to backtrack and go back, you know, and end with God, you know, even after the fussing, after the fighting, after the mismanagement, after the whatever. And now, okay, now let's go back, you know, so... Yeah, that's my 2 added cents.
Man, I have been blessed today by everything that y'all shared, and I know the people on the other side of this are going to be like, we need to hear more from them. Wow. We need to hear more from them. All right. So, but if the opportunity presents, then definitely we'll be glad to have the Kings back join us on another episode. Listen, this has been good. I would suggest if you want marriage counseling, just watch this episode again and you'll get a lot of stuff from the Kings that they'll share today. So good, man. For those who are frequent followers, subscribers, those who know where we are, TikTok, I was about to say Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're following us. Listen, we appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for your comments, your shares, your likes, everything that you're doing to help us to continue to be an impact across America and the other countries and everywhere else that people are tuning in. Listen, we see you guys in Russia. We see you guys in all the other countries and stuff and things like that. We're just grateful. And I always tell you guys, we're just trying to be good stewards over what God has given us. All right. Thank you guys. But until next time, listen, grace and peace and blessings. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Firm foundation, 10 toes meet the surface. Something always happen when I bless his name. But